Thank you, Sean, and welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name's Rebecca Applewhite. I'm a solutions consultant for Topia, and today I'm going to take you through how the integration between corporate HR and employee users of our platform brings efficiencies, minimizes risks, and importantly, creates a modern experience for your relocating employees. Just a couple of slides before I get into the demo. I want to take a moment to explore why the employee experience of relocation really does have an impact for your organizations and what we think about bringing to that experience at Topia. Then I'm going to jump into a demo of our Topia Go, which is our employee experience portal, and we'll have time for some questions at the end. So first of all, I mean, employee engagement is on everybody's lips and minds at the moment. It's no surprise, and it should be no surprise, that employee engagement has a direct impact on many key performance indicators for organizations, with highly engaged companies having an increase in both productivity and profitability. The trouble is that despite everything that we have thrown at employee engagement over the last few years, technology included, globally that engagement score does seem to be flatlining, which is a concern when we think about the focus on that organizations have tried to bring to increasing employee engagement. And disengagement is creating huge problems for organizations, including a high or growing rate of turnover in the US. The quit rate is slowly increasing. And when we look at the reasons that people are leaving organizations, top of the list is the perceived lack of career development opportunities. And that's where we think that global mobility has a really important role to play in expanding the perception of existing employees about their development opportunities with organizations. The trouble is that employee relocations themselves can sometimes have a negative impact on experience and engagement. If we think about what a relocation is typically like for an employee, it's incredibly fragmented, chaotic and messy, with many different elements and tasks to complete, overwhelming lists of location discovery information, as well as being asked to liaise and participate with multiple vendors over multiple systems. So what can we do about it? Well, if we think about the four key building blocks of a great relocation experience for employees, this is how we think about it at Topia. So first of all, the employee needs to understand, what do I have to do and how can I get it done as easily and quickly as possible? Secondly, it's crazy that we're asking our employees to send data to 7 different platforms or email around their personal documents or log in to separate portals. What they're looking for is a really streamlined, consistent approach across all of their interactions as they go through that relocation experience. We also think that the experience itself should necessarily continue to be highly tailored and personal to that employee. Everyone's own experience of their relocation is slightly different, and that's why it's really important to have those high-touch, personalized elements as part of their relocation. And finally, for building a great employer brand with employees, it's pretty much expected now that their interactions should be modern. They should be presented in a data-driven and digital way, so that the experiences that employees have with their organizations mimic the experiences they're having in other parts of their life. And when we look at the value proposition behind these 4 key building blocks, we know that by streamlining consistent interactions into one place, we are creating efficiencies by reducing a lot of the backwards and forwards of emails and traffic between vendors. We're minimizing the risk of data leakage and data compliance issues. We're reducing that sense of employee frustration over those multiple duplicated requests. And we are leading to a more improved employee experience, reducing the stress on the employee and their family, hopefully increasing their satisfaction related to their move, and ultimately turning that satisfaction into a successful move and therefore an increased profitability and productivity rate for your organization. This is exactly the challenges that Topia is trying to solve by delivering a modern consumer-grade employee experience through a deeply integrated platform. Now, many of you may also be familiar with our Manage module. So we have modules of our platform that are designed for different elements of the relocation journey. Our Manage module is the corporate HR or mobility team experience, and that's where then we have all the tools and technology to manage the process from start to finish. It's really important that we integrate elements of that with the employee experience. It's just where the integration platform comes through to guide the employee's experience through Topia Go. Now, today I'm going to concentrate on the employee experience and what it looks like for the employee, and I'll refer briefly to elements of our Manage module too, but I'm very happy to give a more detailed demonstration on these elements of our platform, as well as any others, if you'd like to just drop us a line or a question. So with that, let's hop into the Topia Go platform. Give me a moment while I switch to there. Okay, so here we are. I am an employee. I'm Heidi Lincoln. I'm being sent on assignment from London to San Francisco, and I've been given access to my Topia Go platform. So just to put yourself in Heidi's shoes for a minute, I am probably thinking, my goodness, think about all the things that I have to do to get myself to San Francisco. Not only that, I know nothing about San Francisco. I might have been on there on holiday a few years ago, but I really don't know what it's like to live there as an employee. What I'm going to show you is how with Topia Go, we're going to reduce that pain for Heidi by bringing into one place all of the tasks, the tools, and the content that she'll need to navigate the logistics of her move. So she can see at a glance on the left here, all of the tasks relating to her move to San Francisco. So we have a centralized task list, bringing everything together that she needs to action related to suppliers, to her company, and to herself to get her settled in as quickly as possible. So this is taking away all of those email requests, post-it notes, calendar reminders, and so on, and bringing them into one easy to manage location. Now, importantly, tasks that need urgent action are front of mind for Heidi at the top of her dashboard here. And these tasks are directly integrated with the Manage platform, with the mobility team, the corporate team, and the HR team's view, and can also be shared with vendors who have access to the platform as well. So not only does this minimize the risks when sharing data across multiple providers, it also reduces the frustration that Heidi might feel on being asked to provide her passport to several different people in several different ways. So let's have a look at what that would look like for Heidi. I just click into the upload passport task here, and the system will ask me to pick my file and upload it and provide certain information on that passport itself. So I've got a sample picture of a passport here, and I'm going to enter my passport number. I'm going to confirm the issuing country and the expiry date. It's just loading up the passport now. You can see it's popped up then. Confirm the expiry date too. I'm going to say that it's going to expire in a few years' time. It's got plenty of time, and submit that through to the mobility team. So nice, easy way to upload my passport in one easy interaction. I don't now have to worry about providing that in several different places. And I know that my mobility team have direct access immediately to my passport. So if we now have a look at what that looks like for the mobility team, I'm going to flick into the assignment summary view for Heidi on the Manage platform. And I'm just going to refresh the page so that the task of relating to the passport is completed. So this is where the mobility team can come and see all of the latest information about Heidi and her move, whether that's where we are in the initiation process, what the specific dates are relating to her move, financial and cost center information, and so on. And if I scroll down to her document library, I'll be able to find her passport. Here it is. So we have her passport uploaded to her document library, ready for access by the mobility team, by the HR users, and potentially also the vendors, depending on their access rights to the platform. So a really easy integration designed to reduce the risk of sharing personal information and reduce the frustration of multiple vendors and places to do things. And you can see a couple of other examples of integrated tasks here at the top as well. So we have the ability to share the move documents with Heidi. So once the managed platform has automatically generated the move documents using our database and using your organization's templates, that's shared automatically with Heidi through Go. She can review and send back a signed copy as easily as I just did that passport task there. Another pretty common example is asking employees to confirm details about their dependents, and we can do that through this integrated task system here. And information about the dependent details immediately syncs to the assignment record and is immediately accessible by all the relevant stakeholders in her move. So as well as the integrated task capability within Go, so enabling Heidi to provide information in one fell swoop to all of the relevant providers for her move, she's also got access to really easy to use location discovery information. So again, bringing both the tasks and the data into one place for Heidi. The first thing that she can find out about is San Francisco itself. So we have our curated city guides that help Heidi learn about her new location. It's curated specifically for relocating employees and their families. It's easy to read and understand, generates a little bit of excitement about the new location. We have some nice videos there, as well as widgets on cost of living and climate and so on. So that essentially we're helping Heidi navigate the overwhelming information that they can feel, get used to if they're doing their own research via Google or via guidebooks and so on. The next element of the location discovery tool in Go is the office pages. So these pages are fully configurable to match your organization's offices and locations, and we build these as part of our implementation. You can see here an example of the type of information that might be helpful for Heidi. So this is, how do I get up and running as quickly as possible in my host office? How do I get there on the first day? What do I need to remember to bring? Who do I contact if I have specific questions? And are there any sports teams or interest groups that I might be interested in? And typically today we find this information is usually presented to employees in fragmented ways, so either via internet pages or PDF manuals attached to emails. So yet again, this is sort of building on our philosophy that for the employee, they want a streamlined, consistent experience, and they want it in one place. And finally, we have our local services tab. So this is very, very practical, specific information about getting settled in the host location, whether that is information about schools and universities, right down through to the tax system, and really getting really practical. So what are the main banks? How do I go about opening up a bank account, knowing, for example, that I'm going to need a social security number in San Francisco? And getting set up and running on services such as internet providers and cell phones or mobile phones. All of these links in bold are external links, again, to the relevant providers. So really trying to bring it all into one place for Heidi, rather than relying on her to search around and go to multiple different locations for the information. that she and her family need to get up and running as quickly as possible. And the last thing that I wanted to show you on the Topia Go platform is our neighborhood planner. So our neighborhood guide is an interactive guide, ideally helping Heidi to understand what neighborhoods might be most relevant to her and her situation. So you can see we've mapped the her host office onto the heat map here. And bearing in mind that I might be a keen cyclist and I have a rough idea about my budget available for a 1-bedroom, you can see as I adjust the widgets on the side there, the heat map also adjusts and is starting to give me an understanding of the most appropriate suburbs and neighborhoods for my situation. We're drawing on millions of data points to create this neighborhood map. And we're trying to provide the employee with a data-driven digital approach to location discovery. Now, we are not going to be replacing the very useful and valuable interactions that Heidi will have with her destination service provider once she gets on the ground, but we're really helping to pinpoint in advance of those meetings what is most valuable to Heidi and her family, and thereby enabling her to get the most value out of her personal connections. So ultimately, what we've hoped to provide with our Topia Go and Manage experience is that the experience of moving for Heidi is less stressful and more streamlined. We're able to drive on-point conversations with your mobility team and your relocation specialists. Heidi has a great first experience of her relocation, which is really fantastic for bringing home a positive employer brand throughout your moving employees. And at the same time, the experience for the mobility team is really enhanced as well. As I said, we've got immediate access to all of the data and documents that Heidi provides through Go on the back end here. And these can also be shared with the vendors themselves, really streamlining the fragmentation across the services that are typically provided to a relocating employee like Heidi. Okay, so I'm going to pause there and ask Sean if we have got any questions.
Great, thanks Rebecca, and thank you everyone who submitted your questions so far. I just want to remind everyone now is the time, if you have a question, to send it through, and we will pose those to Rebecca, and her, in her infinite wisdom, will answer them. So with that, Rebecca, we do have a couple questions that have come through. The first one is, how customizable is the employee dashboard to include external links, such as to the company's intranet?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, so it is, we have a high level of configuration that's available in the Go dashboard. The office pages themselves are fully configurable, and we can include links to your intranet site as part of that, that page there. At the same time, there is also configuration availability on the dashboard itself in terms of the checklists. So you can see here that this checklist on the left relating to Heidi's move is configured to match her home host combination, as well as organizational specific requirements and the policy, services and benefits that are being provided to Heidi.
Great, thanks, Rebecca. I think that definitely answers that question. There's a lot that can be done with this, and it's highly configurable, so that's great. Are there any other tasks or information that can be shared from the mobility team to employees and vice versa? And then how would you go about setting those up?
Yeah, so great question. Yes, in a nutshell, there are other tasks and data requests that can be shared with the employee. Now, one of the, I guess, value propositions of our system is actually the amount of configuration that we are able to offer during the implementation phase is quite powerful. So what we would do is sit down with you and work out what exactly is helpful to be shared to and from Manage and Go. and then scope and build that out as part of the implementation. And one example that we've done for a recent customer is building an employee pulse check or a survey, so that once the initiation or the move gets to a certain point, the individual receives a request to just pulse check their feelings about elements of their move. And that can be integrated between the two platforms.
Great, thanks for that, Rebecca. Another question that's come in is, can this functionality be used to share information with the relocation vendors that we have?
Yes, so right now we have an integration layer running from our managed platform that is vendor agnostic, so that we can update, but push and pull information both to and from the managed platform and your relocation vendor, whoever they may be. And we are building out more functionality with the Go employee platform too, to include that relocation vendor specific information as well.
Great. Cool. And I think we have one final question. If no others come in, that's great. We're on time and early even. So Rebecca, the final question, is it possible to add tasks after an employee is initiated?
Yes, it certainly is. So tasks can be kicked off from the managed platform by the mobility team at any point, as long as we understand what those tasks are and the requirements behind them. We can then build the capability to kick off a task either automatically as part of a set process. So in my example I used earlier, we had the employee survey being kicked off once the move was completed. Or you can have a task, for example, checking on dependent details. You could kick that off as a standalone task at any point in the process.
Great, thanks for that clarification. Well, it looks like we don't have any other questions at this time. I want to remind everyone, if you do have any questions, you can reach out to myself or Rebecca, or you can just shoot us a note at info@topia.com. We'd be happy to answer those for you. Or if you want to dive into other parts of our system, let us know, and we will make Rebecca available to do that for you personally. Rebecca, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to present to us, and thanks everyone for joining. We hope you have a lovely day, and we will see you soon.